full color postcards, and we have just under 3,000 mail recipients in the county, but we can only order in increments of 1,000. So I bumped it up to 3,000. The price for that with printing is $507.14.
Say that again, Nicole.
$507.14. That's 3,000 full color postcards printed. Postage is 18 cents per mailing using the EDDM. So at 3,000, that's $640, if my math is correct, for postage.
Thank you.
So at this time, I will wait for instruction to move forward on these, or have I been instructed to move forward on these, on the printing of the note cards? Or do you want to?
I think there's nothing more important than communicating with the county and including both the northern end and the southern end, as well as just those in Townsend. And then, of course, the donut around the rest of us. I would suggest that we proceed and give Nicole a blessing to do so.
How often do we want to do this? We're talking like once a quarter?
I'm gonna suggest once a month, and if you just think about very quick brainstorming of the next couple of months, this is only a small postcard, so this about half, roughly this size, so you're not gonna get a lot on it, but mosquito season is upon us. There's one postcard edition with driving people to the website to get more information. We're gonna have the budget done here in a couple of months. A state of the county on a postcard would be a good idea. LEPC, a lot of people don't know what that is. What a great subject for one of the postcards. What is DES and LEPC? The TED, big subject. We easily could fill up 2 or 3 postcards in a year. Certainly should be one this summer. Beyond that, solid waste, roads update, sanitarian, there's news there. If there is an update to the regulations for planning, that could be one. Public health, that's a big one. WIC is going to, Lewis and Clark County WIC just signed an agreement with Broadwater Health Center to have WIC in the county, so people are gearing that up right now. That's another subject. So I think for consistency, at least for the beginning, we need to do every month. It's not that expensive. It's an investment in communicating. And that's just off the top of my head, sitting here in 30 seconds. I think if we went to each department head and said, hey, what would you like to communicate out, I think we'd have a list far more than for a year.
Okay. So it was 640 with the postage, Nicole, is that right?
No, I'm sorry. 640 is the postage
Oh, and 507 for the cards?
for printing. 3,000 full color.
May I ask a question? Do you really think the result will justify the cost? I mean, really, when you look at what the budget is in the county and people are really struggling to be within their budget constraints, and you think $1,100 a month for information that could be disseminated either in a local newspaper or the website that's hard to find, do you really think it justifies that cost?
I think Shirley just answered her question affirmatively, and I thank you for that. And the website that's hard to find. I think if we can continually remind people how to find the website so that they can get timely and accurate information, I think it's an investment that cannot be, that has to be realized as an important investment. We have really no other means of communication. We have multiple newspapers. The cost of trying to use each one of those would be easily close to the same amount. And I'm talking about the East Helena News, Belgrade News, Three Forks News, Townsend News. And the price of printing those postcards, did you go through was it the one in Helena?
No, I'm sorry, that was the only thing I didn't write down in my notes, but I can get you that answer.
We
Can't
might
recall
be
what
able
the-
to reduce that, and it could be, I don't know by how much. I
Okay.
told you I would look into that this weekend, and I did not.
That's okay, I can contact them right now.
We might be able to reduce that too, but I think when it comes to communicating with the public, what's more important than letting the people know what their commission and county are doing for them and with issues?
I mean, I agree that we need to communicate with our residents, but, you know, $13,000 a year, I don't know, I think that's too much money. I really do. You know, quarterly, we're at, what, 4588? I mean, that's a little bit more of a realistic number for me.
How
And
about,
then I realize that maybe some of that information may not be timely, but I don't know.
how about a compromise to start? I solidly think it needs to be once a month, but how about a compromise of every other month?
What other options do we have? I know we've discussed this one, what else is available? Any thoughts, Nicole?
You know, I always think that social media is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, it is.
So it's, you know, it's can be a free service, but it can also be used negatively.
Any thoughts from anybody out there? How can we communicate? Here's a good example. I ran into somebody yesterday that still does not know that there's 24-hour access to all of our canister sites by simply walking through. How long has this been going on? It's been going on a long time. We're not getting that information out there. We've got to figure out a way to do it. And by getting that information out there, they're not in here looking for the answers. So we need some ideas, you guys. We got anybody? Corey?
Well, my recommendation is, I mean, if you were to take that 13,000 a year and use it to actually improve our website, to make it a very functional, user-friendly, easy to find, and do some, it's really cheap to do some creative social media advertising in order to push people to the website. Anyone that's done a relatively modern campaign has done it, and it's easy. That's how people are getting their information now. I mean, there's a handful, at most, people in this county who don't use the internet in some way. I think that's the way to go. If you're gonna do this card, then it needs to just not, it can't just be a commission.
Right.
Give me, if you're gonna do it 12 times a year, give me 2 of those times when I can say, here's what's going on in the county veterinary world. And my concern is, not concern, a thought is it needs to be the information that I wanna convey, not the information that I provide that then gets edited to what whoever's publishing it wants to convey. Same with the sheriff's office or any other department. And I think there's no reason for that. that's like a pie is only this big and who gets what chunk of the pie. If you go to some of these other more creative ways to communicate information, the pie keeps expanding as active as we want to be in communicating. If you go down to the Three Forks newspaper and do a sit down with them, they'll write any article on any topic you want to discuss. Same with the other, I think you're gonna find a lot better use for that money.
Steve, got a question back there? Dave Faust.
Yeah, go on, Dave.
I would echo what Corey's saying, and a really well-done, functional website would go a long way in this county. There are some who don't use the electronic media, and there are ways of using some kind of, but you don't have to print a postcard, a color postcard. You can communicate that in the newspaper, but even not everybody gets the newspaper.
Right.
So it's a mixed bag, but I think his idea, his approach is more solid than a printed postcard.
Brandon and Wynn, I know you guys got a pretty good website. Everybody pretty, it seemed like, looking at it, it's pretty informative.
And we have, and on ours, there's an app on ours, so like, you can go on our webpage and get an app, and you can get, every morning at 5:22 in the morning, you will find out who was booked into jail and who was released in the last 24 hours. We have a press release section in there. The media pays attention to it. We're very active on our social media account as well, but a lot of times, I could be responding somewhere and either KTVH, KXLH, or one of those media sources, they're calling me like, hey, we just saw a press release, we saw something on your Facebook, or we heard something, what can you tell us? And so, like I've said in the past, we've had some of our social media posts been seen to the upwards of 110,000 people. So it is a great resource. There's not a lot of people that do use it, but the part of, you might not have a huge demographic right here in Townsend or Broadwater County that's using that social media, but the thing is, there's still quite a vast group that are, and that creates a conversation point from different individuals. Even though somebody might not have seen it directly, they can communicate that, and that's a good way to get a lot of people talking about a small subject at one time. Our website, there's some things I'd like to see change with it, be a little more active, I guess, but some of that costs money as well, and we try to keep our costs down, but.
Do you guys manage that yourself, or do you have somebody help you?
No.
So somebody on
Seth's our
Yeah.
IT guy.
What are we gonna do in a month?
Sean is learning.
Yeah, Sean is taking over, so.
All right.
But it's there's a lot to it, and you get to make it your own, and that was through government web pages. Most wanted,
Yeah.
most wanted government pages, and so they specialize in government functions, so it's been a good thing. So,
Okay.
Yes, one.
I've used the website from the sheriff's department, and I'm able to get into it very, very easy, and I am not a person that does computer things. I tried to get into the Broadwater County Commissioners one, now that's a different story. If you guys could make it, copy the template of the sheriff's department, it would be excellent, because it does, I get a lot of information. I do the sheriff's department just about every day, and I'm able to pop it right on. I've still yet to get into some of the commissioners' things. It's not an easy thing to get to. So, yeah, if we could get a different way of that, and follow these guys' kind of template, it would be perfect.
All right.
So can we, at least for starters, let Nicole charge forward with an addition through the communications committee, so it's not all on you? And bring that forward for review and approval? Or do you wanna, yes, so we can start communicating with people, again, it's mosquito season.
Yeah. Do we have a communications committee?
Loosely, yes, we do, yeah, I mean, you know, we take one, we have offices that whoever's available in that office to come sit down and meet. And I do agree with our website, you know, it's townsendmt.com and Broadwater County is a button, and I think we've grown up, I think we deserve our own page. Linked to townsendmt.com, similar to the sheriff's office, their page is linked on townsendmt.com, so if people are used to going there, but maybe it's time that we look at getting a Broadwater County page, not just a section under that.
Right. I'd really like to explore that option and see where we're at with that.
So
And so,
I'd like to suggest that we do postcards quarterly. And then we take and we look at establishing our own website.
Okay,
And if it gets to the point of where our website's getting a lot of use, then we can eliminate the points of postcards. The issue that I have with eliminating the postcards is you may have only a handful of people that don't use the internet, but it's still a handful of people. And a lot of times, those are people that don't really have any other way. I mean, they don't use the internet. The only other access they have is mail.
okay,
Mr. Chairman, I would also suggest the first postcard, the priority stuff would be having the information of what the websites, the social media to go to.
there you
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
you go.
do we even have, we don't have a Broadwater County Facebook page, do we? I mean, I know there was one at one point in time, but,
A number of counties have done it, and the caution is that you have to have somebody who monitors it 24/7.
I'd say just
And
stay
the
away from
reason
that.
is because it's a forum for a lot of misinformation. You were in a meeting and saw an employee posting absolutely untrue information on Facebook. Well, that's one of those things that will happen because that's the nature of it. So you've gotta have somebody monitoring that can
Set that
show truth to misinformation. Do we have that kind of hours available for our personnel? So that's why a lot of counties have stopped it, and a lot of counties have said, it costs us a lot of money, but it's worth it to make sure the truth gets out. So that's two sides.
So,
And just to kind of help on that issue, I know like with our Facebook page, there's only certain people that I allow to post on it. So the sheriff does, so like him and myself, and then Shauna can post on it. And I'm pretty sure you can also disable comments if you would like as well, where you guys can post whatever you want, but nobody can post on it. So you could just delegate somebody that you wanted to run that page, and that would be the only person that could do it. There's ways to do that.
Good point, thank you. Might be something to look into as well, and that's free
and it-
for the
I'm-
most part.
I don't have Twitter, but I know that that's an effective tool, but I don't know how many people in the county actually have Twitter to get out with these press releases or, you know, this instant news.
If they're under 30, that's what they're using. They don't use Facebook, they don't use websites. So that might be something to also
Okay.
look into since we're expanding.
any other discussion?
So, is this the direction we're gonna go for? We're gonna try to have somebody manage this page for us? Is that what we're looking for, or are we gonna try to have a staff member do this? You got plenty on your plate already, Nicole.
Managing the page, you know, has not been terribly cumbersome, but right now, you know, everyone is correct, there's not a lot of content on there. You know, right now we're putting commissioner minutes and agendas. Any agendas that any other boards send me, I put on there. But to be more effective and more of a force, we need to have valid content. And I think, you know, we spoke about that in the very beginning. We need to be sure that we have content. There needs to be a reason for people to want to go to the website.
So maybe we
But
need somebody
that's-
to help us develop the page, and then we can,
And then we can do the
Manage it after
content. Yes, and I don't know if the answer is the same company that we're using right now
Mhm.
with the townsendmt.com, or do we go to a different company? That company has been user-friendly for me to upload information, but it also is going to take everyone in the county. I mean, you know, so like you said, you have content that you would like to share with the public, perfect. But I don't know that we're communicating that with employees, that, hey, if you have something you want on the website, get it to me. And then, of course, you know, which is why the communications committee was formed. I don't want to be the gatekeeper of what does and does not go on the website.
Well, I would think that each department would have a link on, once you create this page, there's
Correct.
a link that they could go to and
And
get that information. So they can control that content.
The other question is look. So when we built the townsendmt.com website, what we did is we looked at a lot of websites for other communities. I think the three of us should look at some websites for other counties, determine what look, what structure, what workability we like, and then see which companies built those and pass that on maybe to Nicole and your communications committee, so it's not
Super.
on your shoulders. And we should help too. We should be integrally involved with this whole process. We have been contacted by a company that's interested. To start, it's $13,000 and then a certain amount per month, and it would be monitored in-house. So that kind of gives us an idea of what the starting point is. It would be roughly that amount. Probably a investment to start. So like you said, we are growing up, and entering the 21st century probably is a really good idea with our own website presence that links to townsendmt.com. But is very user-friendly and simple.
so, do you have a direction for me, my next steps?
I would suggest maybe a working meeting.
Okay.
Give us, maybe next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. Have the communications committee, have us have done our homework, and then sit down and talk about what it is we want and how to pursue that.
Okay.
Maybe step one, and just continue that till we figure out what we're doing.
And there's some input from other departments as well.
And there will be a department head meeting. It's a great place to remind folks. I know it's been brought up before, but sometimes it does take reminding, and that's where the repetition, I think, is
Mhm.
important.
Okay.
So that will be next Wednesday, the 17th,
No,
correct?
yeah, 17th,
17th, okay.
if that works. Is that too soon?
Yeah. The only thing we have is Board of Health that go on.
Okay. Meet at 9?
9 AM, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else for me? Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Deputy Commissioner's fiscal year 2020 budget spending analysis, revenue analysis, scope allocation, computer replacement plan. Okay, David.
There's not been much change since last week. I was told you guys had something more on the computers. But that,
Do we have
I've
any
been gone the last
here?
3 days, so I don't. Somebody said you guys might have a plan, which would affect some of our budgeting. We're just still kind of in limbo with the preliminary, waiting on straggling numbers.
Okay.
Things like, some of the mineral royalty funds, predatory animal for the next year, Taylor grazing, some of those little odds and ends of revenue funds. That's really not anybody's one responsibility. So just waiting for some of those straggling numbers to come in. Final decisions on PILT requests. Expenditures.
Are we waiting on information from Josh on the computers?
Are we?
I haven't talked to, the only thing I called DIS for a quote for a new computer. They were $1,000 per computer. I called Dell. I have a contact with Dell, and I was able to buy 2 computers with monitors and everything for $1,015, so I cut my price almost in half. He said they're refurbished, but they're guaranteed for 3 years, and he has them, about 30 of them. As far as just changing the old ones over to Windows 10 from Windows 7, most of them in my office are over 5 years old, so they need replaced anyway, but I don't know what the other offices are looking at. I don't know what the cost would be just to change the windows. That wasn't anything that would work in my office. I haven't even started that conversation with Josh, if I could.
If we go with the Dell, is there any issue with changing the software compatible with all the DIS stuff or not?
No, I've had 2 of them switched over and haven't had any problem with them at all.
Okay.
I tell you, I had that conversation with Josh 2 weeks, well, it was in June, mid-June. So we ended up with leftover funds from the budget, purchased a new computer for me. Mine was 6 years old. And then, or maybe mine was 5 years old. And then Sherry's is a year newer, so we didn't buy a replacement. They're just gonna do an upgrade to Windows 10. And we did the same size computer for mine, so I can use the same docking station. And then Brooke's waiting to see on her surcharge funds, she might have some funds to do a replacement computer for her. And we did have to do a replacement printer. So our office is all covered with year-end surplus funds. Sherry's with the upgrade for Windows 10, we'll get a few more years life out of it. So I'm hoping it's 2 years before we have to replace hers. But he did say that they can do it at a obviously a lot cheaper to do an upgrade than to do a new computer, and that they are, I think he said January, is it January? All support service ends for computers that are Windows 7?
June of 2020.
June of 2020, okay. And so they're fully ready to do all support for Windows 10, and they're gonna, soon not gonna be able to do the others. But that upgrade looked like a viable option for us, so we did it. There is a concern about warranties running out on computers though. So our Sherry's will be past warranty after, I think maybe that's what it is, her warranty ends January. But we'll drive on.
Did they all die next June, right? Not January, June.
I think it's June. Their support stops for
The
them.
support stops, yeah.
Yeah.
At least that's what Black Mountain sent us. And that's what they're looking at for us, because like Michelle and I, we have 2007 Windows. So if they're gonna discontinue that, we're gonna have to upgrade to do anything Black Mountain, which is kind of important with what we do. I think our computers are okay, it's just the software. Well, we made some motions in June for some of it. 50,000 to the Mason Memorial, 10,000 to election machines, 100,000 for the Barris. Computers have been ongoing, so we don't have any numbers from there. The comprehensive liability. We really didn't do much of that last week. We're kind of waiting on this year's finalized, the final Deep Creek numbers. And Michelle just had another bill from WWC for some follow-up. I don't know if you guys saw that in the claims. It still has some Deep Creek stuff on it. I think it's the final work. We were kind of waiting. You guys were going to talk about possibility of a PILT loan, long-term, for solid waste. We're still working on the Board of Investments for that versus PILT loan. Those are the only notes I have of anything motion concrete-wise of all the requests.
And out of that money that we had last year, we never, the $100,000 of the hospital never got used, right?
Right. We kind of had thrown together a list of what you want to spend it on. I don't know if you remember that back June 21st. 17th, somewhere right along that week, with the yearlies, like the trees, the CASA, food pantry, some of those every year transfers. We haven't done any of that yet, but I think you guys were kind of wanting to wait till we knew what we had to work with between Deep Creek and some solid waste before you committed to all that.
And we should have an idea when we get the preliminary budget for that.
Because like this year, we didn't have very many veterans burials like we did the year before, so there's still some sitting in there. But every year it is different. And indigent burials, we're gonna talk about that. The county matches to the MCH and the home health, still gonna do those. We have repayment of intercap loan proceeds from 3 years ago, that previous loan. There's the Limestone Tower lease site, so there's some of those. And we're looking at planning, library CIP, airport CIP, ambulance CIPs. And that was just last Monday, some of those we were.
Are we still gonna need 30,000 for the victim's witness advocate, or was that?
Her new budget it was approved well, it's not, I guess it's not approved, it's recommended from the committee. Their meeting is gonna be, I think, August, but that's 96,000 over 2 years, so that's a shortfall of just 4,000 per year,
Okay,
if that's what's approved, so that's.
So we don't need to take any of that out of PILT.
okay. Will we use the 100,000 for, where are we at with the Barris case?
Waiting, it's been appealed to the Supreme Court.
Still in limbo?
I understand there was going to be a reimbursement for the juvenile we had in detention last year. You guys have an update on that?
I'm not
Any
aware of the
timeline?
reimbursement.
What's that?
We were told that juvenile probation was going to pay for the majority of it. I think Tammy had spoken possibly to Mike Merrill, but I don't know, but that's what they said. So we can get back to you on it.
That'd be great,
Yeah.
thank you. So do we wanna maybe address it in 2 weeks after we have the preliminary budget, know where Deep Creek's at, know where solid waste is at, and then look at the rest of it?
Yeah.
We've made some preliminary decisions, but we just need to put them to a vote. With the computers, should we vote to ask Josh to update all of the Windows 7? And then get a report from him on what computers should be updated this year and which ones could wait for a year or two, for a 3-year plan?
I think there was some computers there that were, I think like 5 years or older.
Yeah.
That, we were talking about on the updates, right?
Correct, we were looking at the ones that are highlighted in red. Some of those have been done, some are not needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I was thinking if we had Josh do the Windows 7, since that'll have to be done in anyway, and then put together a 3-year plan for us.
Right.
But,
Yeah, I think that's right, that's what we were discussing.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do that anyway, we don't really have any choice with that.
Mhm.
right,
Yep.
So I think we should do that.
And
okay,
then we also discussed that we weren't gonna roll them all this year, right? We were gonna
correct,
do
Or
that.
stagger 'em.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
So, we'll get a price from Josh and then, maybe approve that solidly next week or 2 weeks,
Sure.
okay?
And then when do we have the preliminary budget hearing? Is that
Next Monday.
the 15th?
Mm-hmm, correct.
What time?
10 o'clock, I believe, first thing, or 10:15, right after public comment and any certificate of reviews. So maybe 10:15.
Debbie, could you send out an email that lets department heads know that it's required that they be there?
Okay.
And get you the statute if you don't have it.
Yes, Brent.
So I have a question. Can we get the numbers for solid waste, the Deep Creek project, and what you guys are all talking about for PILT? And I also was told to remove vehicles from my budget. And so I did do that, so I'm assuming that that's gonna be a decision for PILT, but I haven't heard that get brought up today. I'd like to know where you're at on that.
Okay, yeah, we'll try, Debbie should have those numbers for, can you get those numbers for solid waste?
Well, we still have claims to finish paying for, and Michelle's been working real hard to get everything caught up. It's just a matter of this next month, all the straggler claims coming in. When I looked at the cash report this morning, it was like 200 and some thousand in the negative with PILT.
PILT or solid
I would go solid waste, sorry.
So off the top of my head, I'm thinking it's close to 250.
Yeah, it was up there.
Is that what you're asking, Brandon, or are you asking?
Yeah, well, I'm just, I'm trying to envision, you know, everything happening and where we're gonna be at with what's left over at PILT. And I we didn't get mentioned, so I didn't wanna be last on the list, I guess, for an absolute necessity that we need.
Sure.
I think if Debbie could just send this sheet to Brandon, I think that would answer his questions.
Brandon, real quick, where are you at with your leasing idea? Are you done for it?
I have it, it's gonna take probably a working meeting with the three of you to sit down and find out, what we could do for a commitment. This year it would lessen what we need a lot because they buy our fleet from us.
Sure.
So they would write us a check for our entire fleet. There's some vehicles that I don't want to be bought, so it'd be a way lesser amount, but that'd be revenue in, and it would make the first year payment. And I kinda have it worked out where it would, basically, instead of asking for 84,000 this year, I would ask for 50. And how they make their money is 4% interest, and then we make yearly payments to them. And then you have a schedule where at the end of the lease, they sell the vehicle, and then you write you a check for what's not left. So there's some things that we all need to look at and see if there can be some commitments from you guys to get that vehicle replacement program. It seems to be pretty good, but I'm not a
You're right.
banker or anything, but
Do they come equipped, or is that gonna be on top of it?
all it is we choose the vehicles, we choose the equipment, and we transfer equipment to what can be transferred to the vehicles. They're a bank, is what it is.
Right.
There's no outfit cost.
What's that?
Then we have the outfit cost.
No, that's all included in
Do we wanna add that to next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Would next Wednesday work for you?
So 17th, that should work.
In the morning?
Is it 9 o'clock that we scheduled that working meeting, right?
Right,
So,
so 10:30?
so, yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to our, yes,
I just want to let you know, I talked to Tammy about that juvenile, and she's gonna submit all that. She hasn't done it yet, but she has what she needs to submit, so she'll get that done ASAP.
Thank you.
thank you. Jessica Bushnell weed spraying bid.
Good morning.
Alright, well, I am waiting for one more contractor to return with the bids for the county road work. So, we're just kind of gonna hold until I get that final submittal. It'll be, and then I'll present all three of them to you guys.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, and we're gonna switch our contract to run, with our fiscal year rather than starting in the middle of May.
Nice.
So it'll match up with all of our other funding.
Did you have all the, is that the one you're waiting to compare with the other ones that we already had,
Mhm.
the two prices on?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Does he have a deadline, or?
I told him to get them to me, as soon as possible. I said if we can get them by Thursday, so we can get on next week's agenda, would be perfect. I've called him, emailed him, and texted him, so hopefully he
Okay.
can get back to me.
So we'll put the same thing on for
Yeah.
next week? Okay.
Same time?
Yeah, whatever is convenient for you guys.
Okay.
Nothing else
Thank
for me.
you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see, we got minutes here from July 1st, 2019. Motion to approve the minutes.
Sure, I'll move that we approve the minutes in July, is it first?
July 1st, yeah.
I'll second.
Motion been made, second to approve minutes July 1st. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's see, we got mail here, the receipt from the Department of Interior for PILT, $690,604. Montana Department of Transportation, approval of the Broadwater County DUI Task Force Plan.
That's good news.
And we have the Townsend City County Airport lease agreement with Dylan and Jessica Lancelo. We need to sign.
Is that for a hangar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what they do out there with that. I'll move that we approve the agreement with the Lancelos for the city-county airport lease agreement.
I'll second.
Motion been made and second to approve lease between Broadwater County and Dylan and Jessica Lancelo. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Carries. Okay, that's all we got for mail and everything else. Anybody, anything else?
I have a couple of things. Did you
I
too?
did too. I just wanted to talk about our fair manager position. It still didn't get done last week, you know. And talked with Michelle. All she's waiting on is what we need to put in the ad. So hours and pay, so that we can get that advertised in hopes of maybe having somebody here that can just observe.
Yeah.
this
We should
service.
get the salary matrix and determine what the salary should be. So best management practices is if somebody has been with you for years and they're making, say, $50 an hour,
Mhm.
you don't advertise for the very same position at 18. So what we generally do is we take what that person was making who was with us for years and we go under it
Right.
and then make a range using the salary matrix.
Okay.
So,
And I did get that information from her.
oh, good,
So
okay,
I got what the current is, what the band is, and what the median is.
okay. So what is the current?
The current was 1998. Band was 1576 to 2576. Median is 2076.
So I would suggest, based on experience, that we would want to maybe, and I'm open to debate on this, but just throwing something out there. Say 16 to 21.
Okay. And then that would be based on their experience, and make that determination.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We should give a deadline for applications, advertise in-house,
Mhm.
first would be a good idea.
Sure.
Up to, but not to exceed 30 hours, or up to 29, not to exceed 29 hours per week
Okay.
because of the health insurance. And even with the fair, that works, because the fair is, like Wednesday, Thursday through Sunday. The week ends Saturday, so it's not the full fair.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, we always do, what's the terminology we use? Position is open until filled. So we have a deadline, and then, if we don't have anybody in the first round that's still open, we can have somebody come in after. Since this person works under the commission, we should have a fair board member, the 3 commissioners. I would suggest either Public Works or weed coordinator, or, because they work so closely together. And Allison is gone, but maybe we could have Katria sit in on that, and then Michelle Beebe.
Okay, good enough. And then you made some suggested changes. I think that they all. I think that that's good for the job description.
Okay. John reviewed that too. Was he good with it? Good, okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. So I'll get with Michelle and get an ad worked up and get it in this week's paper. You guys okay with that?
I would suggest the BCDC
And
list.
then BCDC, yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's free, one, if we are watching money,
Right.
and 2, it goes to vastly more people and with the skills that we're looking for. This person's gonna have to be proficient with computers, searching websites, internet, all of that. So if they don't look at the BCDC listserv or the website, I'm not sure they come to us with the qualifications that they need.
Sure. And I have talked with John, the fair board manager, and John Rouser. Anyway, he's aware of what we're doing and made his comments as well, so.
All right. We need to review the contract before hiring a new
Right.
manager so that they start with clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want that on the agenda or to do that via the fair board?
The review, you mean?
The contract we have right now
Oh.
with the rodeo association and the city,
Oh, yeah, I guess I've never seen that, so, yeah, we need to,
yeah.
I'm sure I'd like to take a look at that and see where we're at with that.
And we can do that in parallel. We can still
Mhm.
advertise as
Mhm.
long as we get the other
Sure,
taken care of during the time between now and the deadline.
okay, yeah, let's do that. And I'll be sure to have Michelle email us all a copy of what the ad is before it goes out. So
Sounds
we'll
good,
look at it, make sure that we agree on that, okay?
yeah.
Anything else?
Anything from you, Daryl?
No, that's it, I think that's all
And I have a short list.
Okay.
TV district. The UPS went out, at the TV tower in the cyber room. Harold Gibbs is the gentleman that kind of monitors that for us. He called me, he said it's burned out, it needs to be replaced. I talked to Mike, so Mike went ahead and ordered it. But we talked some time ago about Harold getting a computer to do the reporting and also to take up with him and plug into the systems. That was, I understood, gonna be, Franklin was gonna take care of it with Harold in December, never happened. You guys good with me just telling Harold, go ahead and get a computer, charge it to the TV district?
Yeah.
What kind does he need, I mean,
He needs a laptop or
Mhm.
or a pad that he can
Right.
carry with him there. He knows what he's doing, so I would suggest, I don't, I
Sure.
would suggest letting Harold go ahead and buy what's needed.
sure, I'd like to know that cost before we do it,
Okay,
you know.
all right. I'll ask him to make sure he gets that to us before final purchase.
Mhm.
And then the quiet zone. I sent this to, let me just back up. This is the email that we got from Tim McAlpine. A couple months ago, GB Carson's went to a bunch of people. I think it was 7 pages of petition. Brought it back to us. He is interested in what's called a quiet zone. Number of communities have done this quiet zone, and what it is the county or the city, actually I back up again, the city votes and determines that they want to create a quiet zone. As long as there's the lighted arms of the railroad that come down, the laws or the rules change to make it a lot easier to do the step that cities and counties need to do for a quiet zone. One of the things is putting a barrier in that road so it divides the directional traffic. So this is something that does need to be led by cities because they're most often in cities. I did forward everything to the city and then followed up. They are not interested in a quiet zone. And what a quiet zone is because all these safety measures have been put in place, a letter is sent to the railroad, MRL comes out and inspects what's done and says, yes, we will make this a quiet zone. What that means is there's no horn from the first starting point, the first arms, to the second. For Townsend, this would be north of town past River Road. So I sent this to the city. Colleen sent an email back after a follow-up, and she said, we're not interested. So I did a little bit of research, and we do have River Road that is not in the city that we could do a quiet zone for. I'm not sure it solves the problem because it's not just one horn. They honk the horn at each crossing. Some of the engineers honk it, very short and respectfully, and others lay on it. So what the citizens are upset about, and it's, like I said, 7 pages of petition signatures, is the laying on the horn and how many train trips we have through town per day. I told him I would bring this up today. Are you guys interested in we needed to have a working meeting with the city anyway. Are you interested in talking with them on a casual basis about a quiet zone, or letting them take a lead and follow their lead? Yes, those are my questions. We can certainly look into what we could do on River Road, but again, I'm not sure just that one solves the problem, but it might show what can be done. So those are some of the arguments on both sides for that. What do you guys think?
They have crossing arms on 6th and Broadway, right? That's where they have them.
Yeah.
And they have them at Indian Creek.
Yes. Yeah, and that might be it, but I thought there was one more this way, but I think it might just be the 2. I don't know. I'm going off of memory, which,
I think all they have is, but they don't have any at Hans, I don't believe. That would be the next.
Yeah.
Just the 2.
No crossing arms, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's even one prior to getting to Hans that goes into the fields,
Mhm.
that they-
Yeah.
The other thing we could do that is cheap and free is write a letter. Please be respectful when honking your horn. Their perspective, this perspective of the engineer is, there was a rash of people committing suicide by train, driving out there on the tracks or going out there on the tracks and getting hit. So they lay on the horn to make sure people know that they're coming, to keep people away. The perspective of a person snoozing is, just pop the horn, you don't need to lay on it.
Sure.
So we could write a letter and just ask that they pop the horn versus, laying on it. But they're the professionals in their business, and the train was here first. However, there's a lot more trips than people expected when they moved in, and the horn honking is excessive when they lay on it. So there really are 2 sides to this coin too.
And I would imagine that engineer takes on that liability,
Going through there,
Going
yeah,
through there.
I think so.
And I have also heard the comment that some of the horns are not not hard to listen to them, some of them are very sharp, so it depends on the train that's going.